Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So, today I do have a few stitches to share with y'all, but before I do, I wrote a few things down that came to mind. And I'm currently reading Atomic Habits. So, in the book, I read it's not about the goal, but the system, right? So if you read this book or you're currently reading it, that's like what, chapter one? And how does this apply to our conversation today in this video? To me, if you want to get married, you want to have kids. That's your goal. Now, the system to me is how you vet the guy and how you set standards, expectations, and boundaries in place, right? The type of education you want to have your kid, you start planning properly, yeah? But also, three things that um, you know, that I keep thinking about that kind of help when you want kids, when you want to get married. And that's the first thing, why? Is it society? Is it because you really want to? Is it because you grew up in a big family and you want more kids? You genuinely want to be a mother? Why? Right? Why do you want to be why do you want to get married so bad? Right? Is it the church pushing you? Is it your parents? Why? And the second thing is being okay with not obtaining, getting married, having children, or whatever it is that you want to obtain. When I first thought about that, I was like, that's weird. Why would I want to be okay with not obtaining something I really want? Right? And this whole book, like when I'm reading it, is to obtain changing bad habits, getting good ones, being healthy, da 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 da. And then I'm realizing it's because you don't want to hit desperation mode ever. And I say this because we're talking about women being trapped by men, on purpose. And it applies to these women in the sense of if you are okay with not having kids, you realize I'm still a human being. I still have a purpose. I still have a life. I can still build a community. I can change other people's lives. You understand those things, then you are okay with if I never have kids, I will be happy. If I never get married, I will be okay. That's in the sense why I say that, right? Like you still find purpose even if you don't get those specific things that you want, right? That's why I say that. And then we get into you moving not into desperation, but you're moving in true purpose. You're moving with expectations, standards. Listen, you are vetting this man up and down and stuff like that. So as I'm watching the stitches, I'm listening to the videos and I'm listening to women's stories, and I'm just like, why didn't you stand on business? You have a goal. If you know the goal is I ain't getting married, or I ain't having kids until I'm this age, until I'm done with my degree, stand on business. Because a lot of us, we change our minds, we change our plans for men, right? Oh, hey, he's a great guy. You're not going to meet someone like him again. Maybe, I could be married and have the baby and then go back to school. You're doing yourself a disservice. Right then and there, you're putting your goals and plans in a back burner. It's not how you're supposed to have the system. There's the goal and the system. You can't break the system. I also want to add, when it comes to being okay with not obtaining those things, a guy told me he doesn't like to date some women in their 30s because they hit that desperation turbo mode. They gotta get married. Like, my man, I need to find one right now. And the minute they do find someone talking to them, marriage within 2 weeks. They need to get married, they need to rush and have a kid. So that's one thing I wanted to add in there as well. Somebody told me that, and I'm like, huh, I want to put that in my video. So yeah. We're gonna get into the stitches.
Now, as a woman, you're probably asking, well, how the hell am I supposed to know when this man is trying to have a trap baby? All right, let me give you some tips, some warning signs to be aware of. Warning number one, he talks about having your baby before he talks about marrying you. Let me explain something to you. If a man is serious about being in your life, being committed to you, pouring into your needs, then he will be willing to discuss marriage. He will be willing to consider long-term commitment. When that man can't even talk marriage, but he's talking about, can you have my baby? You better run. Run for the hills, all right? This man is trying to set you up. And it sounds funny, but I'm telling you, this is for real. This is happening as we speak right now. And many of you listening to this podcast have experienced this. First dates, second dates, this man is already talking about putting the baby in you, but not talking about taking you to the courthouse. Not let's go ring shopping. Not what kind of house you want to live in. No, none of that. Because all he wants is to make sure he locked you in and you can't go anywhere.
Things men will never tell women, but are very obvious. Yes, a man is crazy enough to get you pregnant all for the sake of keeping you stagnant or trapping you. A lot of women consistently ask me this question all the time, and my answer is fuck yes, they are crazy enough to do it. Some of them though. A lot of these men ain't even allergic to latex. They just want the satisfaction of knowing that they touched your inside. They've been absolutely lying to y'all for years just to feel the real thing. Cause misery likes company, and a man like this will create the silliest goals at the expense of you. Is he crazy enough to get me pregnant and not give a fuck about me? Yes. And the crazy sad part of fucking with a guy like this is that you were just the unlucky one. Cause usually men like this are the ones that get turned down a lot and only get lucky on rare occasions. So what do? They tend to take advantage of that opportunity. They realize some of y'all were easy targets to shed their misery off onto. They usually scare or intimidate most women off because of the lack of self-control that they have. And whenever woman becomes an option that chooses to stay, they make their life a living hell. And on that occasion, they're playing process of elimination and know that which woman is the most patient. If they know that you're a woman who's caring with a big heart and gullible enough, they also know how to manipulate and then weasel their way out of getting the stuff from you without actually giving a fuck about the kid that they helped create. A man like this will be more than willing to get you pregnant just to keep you stagnant, just so he can have the whole kitty cat to himself. Like, I know you got dreams and aspiration, love, but to him it's fuck your dreams. Sit around that phone until I call you to get what I want from you. That's usually the thought process going through his mind when he's in the middle of doing it. I know, right? Sinister. Now you're probably wondering, that can't be the reason. You're probably looking for a whole other layer to this whole scheme. But that's what got you here in the first place. Stop looking for another layer with him. There is no other layer. Stop looking for one and stop giving a nigga the benefit of the doubt. Honestly, sticking around trying to see it through is only going to make you look silly. Like, stop manifesting seeing something that other men know for a fact isn't there. Because this man is very much the opposite of mysterious, so he shouldn't be looked at as so. And we see shit in like the first 5 minutes of you knowing him. That you're just a piece of meat to him, and he's lonely enough and narcissistic enough to trap you. And because he has time, remember, as people always have an immense amount of time on their hands. And time is the most valuable thing that a take from you. Fuck money, fuck dinner, fuck bedroom antics. Time is more valuable than all shit combined because all shit can get replaced. Also have to understand that a lot of these men are easily amused too. So with that being said, getting you knocked up and having you emotionally manipulated and devoted to him isn't a hard thing for him to do. Because they only try that shit on that they know they can manipulate. Because they eliminate their whole roster in the beginning and just keep a couple after. It's easy to make anybody love blind and fall for you. They just sell you a dream, but of course you're not obligated to buy it. But surely it's easy to get you to buy if he knows that you're gullible enough to buy it. This is the epitome of misery loves company. Misery is cuddling with company right now.
So I saw this story somewhere and it was like insane to me, so I'm going to share it with you guys. It's about a son who found out that his dad baby trapped his mother with him. This story spirals out of control. It has like 5 different updates. Even though it was posted over a year ago, it just wrapped 23 days ago. Here we go. I just found out that my father trapped my mother with me. I grew up thinking my mother had abandoned us. That's what he always told me. He told me my mother packed up and left us when I turned 2 years old. I grew up to resent and hate her, mainly because I saw how my father was working super long hours to make ends meet. I hated how my grandma basically had to raise me. When I would ask her about my mother, my grandma painted a picture of a bitter, spiteful, hateful, spoiled/entitled woman. I felt very justified in my anger and hate toward her. That's what my family told me, and I had absolutely no reason to doubt them. A few weeks ago, I found her on social media while at my boyfriend's house, and I was so effing mad. She was out there living her best life. She's a chef in a Michelin star restaurant. She travels, has a huge apartment, and is apparently married to a gorgeous man. In a fit of rage, I DM'd her, cussing her out for abandoning me to live a glamorous life and that karma would come for her. She obviously saw it, and instead of going off on me, she just asked me to meet up, and that she felt like I had a right to express my anger to her in person, and that she owed me that much. I was starstruck because my father said she never stood for the consequences of her actions. Without telling anyone, I agreed. She invited me to this amazing restaurant. She paid an Uber for me and everything. It was very awkward at the beginning. I kept berating her. I was so angry, I cried a little. She just sat there and took it all in. I then asked her why she would abandon me. She then asked, this is all paraphrased, "Do you really want to know the whole story? It is not nice and you will not like it. I am ready to be the bad guy in your head forever and keep my distance." I just kept pressing her, and then she told me the real story. This is again paraphrased and to the best of my recollection. She told me that my father and she met shortly before ending uni. At that time, my mother had said that she did not want to stay in the university town. A few months after dating, my father told her that his landlord was evicting him because the apartment was needed for immediate family use. She offered him to stay while he found something else. Months passed and he was not doing anything. Then she got a job offer in another country. She told my father that he could take over her apartment or come with her. They had this huge fight where my mother told my father that she wasn't ready for the type of commitment that he was looking for from her, that she wanted different things in life than him, and that as much as she loved him, that they weren't compatible. That's when she found out that she was pregnant. Y'all remember the video I did on men baby trapping women? Notice that this is a successful woman who is basically housing a homosexual. Back to it. Anyway, she told me honestly that she was thinking of not having me. She did not feel ready to be a mom at 22. She did not feel maternal feelings. She said she was already struggling with depression and late diagnosed ADHD. My father convinced her to have me. He said he would take me because he had a right to me, that he would go after her because that baby was also his, so she had me. She said that the time after birth was really bad. My father was dragging out the legal procedures. He refused to vacate the home. My mother said that while she felt love for me and that there were moments that she felt overjoyed, it was overshadowed by huge waves of schmooish-schmeidel ideation. She was scared that she was going to hurt me. She also showed me some of the court documents of the time that backed her claims. In the end, she was so desperate that she agreed to stay with my father if he agreed to be the main caretaker. He did, but only half-assed. My mother then told me that it got so bad that she tried to unalive herself around my second birthday after a particularly nasty fight. My father admitted to having tampered with her birth control. She showed me the papers of the involuntary 72 hours commitment and the legal documents where she was found unfit to be a parent afterward. I felt nauseous after all that. I would not have believed her hadn't she brought so much evidence with her. She then asked me what I meant in my message that we were struggling. I told her that we were not exactly rich and that I was struggling to come up with the money to go to university in another city. She was bewildered and asked me what my father had been doing with the monthly payment she was making. I told her we don't receive any money. Then she took out another stack of papers. Guys, she's sending child support every month. It is almost $3,000 every month. They then make a quick edit. She is court mandated to pay me $1.5K. She doubled the payments out of her own will. She doesn't have to pay that amount. She wants to. Why is this the third story I've heard this month where when the father has custody that the mother double pays the child support? Anyway, she was very concerned about this and told me that she would talk to her lawyers ASAP to transfer the money to me directly. In the end, she apologized to me. She is very sorry to have put me through this. She was very sorry for not being stronger, and she was very sorry for letting me grow up the way I did. She was crying. I was crying. She then told me to take my time. She would contact me again regarding the payment and that it was up to me if I wanted to see her again. that she couldn't be the mother I wanted, but the least she could do is help me with anything that I need. I hugged her, I cried, she cried, I boxed up my food, and she got me an Uber home. At home, my father wasn't there, so I went straight to bed and left early the next morning. And I'm staying with my boyfriend. My whole life is a lie. So I didn't think this story could get any crazier, but here's another update. So this is the update from the kid who found out that his father baby trapped his mother with him. I'm not in the US. Don't speculate with US laws and standards. They do not apply. Things went south fast. The Wednesday night, the night before I left, my father picked up a fight with me for not taking his car for an oil change. He called me everything under the sun, saying I am selfish and a brat, that he raised me better. He then had my grandmother come and say how disappointed they were, that I was clearly not mature enough to leave for a holiday, let alone move away for university. They held me awake until 4 a.m. under the guise of a family meeting, which was basically just a reprimanding session of all the things I had done wrong in my life. And to be honest, I was demoralized. I was ugly, crying, and feeling awful. Thankfully, my boyfriend called because I had not answered several texts of his. He helped me transport all my stuff while my father was sleeping, and I left without telling him bye. He texted me around 1 p.m., and my father was acting like everything was normal. So the 2 weeks passed very quickly. I got a mail that I got into university that has a very good program for political science. So I accepted and put myself on the waiting list for university accommodation. Then shit blew up. My mother suddenly stopped giving my father half the money, so she was only paying what she was legally obligated to pay. My father was losing it. He began calling, screaming at me to come home at once, then calling me crying to tell me that the B of my mother had reappeared and was suing him, and now we did not have enough money to pay for the mortgage. I called my mother to ask if she was actually suing him. She said no and said that she had just gone through the courts to start paying me directly instead of my father, which was granted. Then my grandma started texting me saying I had come home right away because my father had had cardiac arrest. Obviously, I went back home with my boyfriend, only to find our house in literal shambles. There were beer cans, string liquor stuff, and cigarettes everywhere. Everyone that was betting that my father was using all the money on drugs and lavish stuff, hey, congratulations, you were right. Apparently, when I left, my father decided to have a huge party. He invited all these friends that he made in fancy bars. I know that because the lady that was in the hospital with my dad was his girlfriend, apparently. She did not know about me. She kept talking about our house as his summer residence. I asked her a few questions. She answered. She is actually pretty sweet, but put off by my father now that she knows how he lied. So apparently my father would take the $3,000 and spend them almost fully on appearing to be richer. He had bought some clothing pieces that were high quality. He would hang out in these fancy hotel sky lounges where he met his girlfriend, then would take her and her friends out to expensive restaurants and clubs. She did not fully admit it, but insinuated that they did snow often during those outings, much like the party that led my dad to OD. It was not only snow that they did. I also think an amphetamine. Anyway, I thanked her and told her that the money was not my father's and that she had been lied to. She stayed till my father came to and we could bring him home, which is when she dumped him. And then I broke it to him. I was leaving. He lost his shit. He punched me. He broke my nose. I was really afraid. He was not even fully recovered. In the hospital, I told the nurse how it happened and the police got involved. My mother took me in the very next day. She is helping me with all the legal things regarding my father. She helped me move out, helped me move cities. It all happened very, very fast. My boyfriend has been staying over because I'm very afraid. My father has been blocked and I have been getting threatening emails. So that is that. It is good and bad. Quick comment. My father has been blocked, but I have been getting threatening emails. Lawyers love this. Don't go back to your father. No visits alone again. If you need to get something from his house, get some friends to come with you and or authorities. Soon he and your grandmother are going to start making up excuses and lies. Oh no, your father is dying. You got to come back home immediately, even though there's nothing wrong, etc., in order to lure you back home. Do not go. They're going to end up abusing you both emotionally and physically. Your father already assaulted you, so he's ready to do it again. Keep these two blocked from everything. You don't deserve this. How dare they treat you like this? I have a feeling he's done with his dad, at least on his end. OP says he is dead to me. And then another update. OP had tried to post on the same sub again, but it got removed. And it looks like his boyfriend posted for him because OP couldn't post. Hello, all of you. This is a brief update. I'm Alex's boyfriend. Alex's father attacked him on September 19th and he almost passed. Yesterday, he was finally moved from the ICU into a standard room. Legal procedures against his father have been brought up, so I cannot disclose anything. I will update you if anything changes. R.E. Alex's health. Much love. This person says, holy crap, I know this was 2 months ago now, but I wish you all the best. I hope that good-for-nothing man gets what is coming for him, and I hope you have a good Christmas or Hanukkah or holiday. Y'all, so this original post was posted like a year ago, and there's just an update 23 days ago, okay? Alex said, I'm finally free. My father died, and I feel no sadness. My father died in the midst of our lawsuit. He had brutally attacked me because I was going to leave him, and the CS checks that he'd been blowing on drugs and women would stop with my departure. Last year, my whole world crumbled when I found out that my mother had not left us. My father had abused her and made it impossible for her to take me. He has made my life absolutely miserable. I have detailed this over the past few months here. After I was let out of the hospital, my mother and I got 2 amazing lawyers, one for the assault case and the other for the misappropriation of the money. The process for the child support case was quick, and he had to pay back 50% of the money given to him in the past 3 years to me directly, no further fines. However, the assault case spiraled. I found out that he was going to attempt to plead not guilty in the case of temporary insanity. He had detailed his plan to get away with this to his girlfriend, who was not an awful human, and show the police what she had. So it went from assault to attempted murder. With his girlfriend leaving him owing a bunch of money, looking at a hefty prison sentence, and no more money to bail himself out, he took his life on Friday. I was numb the whole week. But today the realization washed over me. I am finally free. I don't have to look over my shoulder. I don't flinch when I hear steps. I don't have anxiety while checking my phone. I am free. I am finally free.
Conversation about how men baby trap women.
I feel like this is so true. When I told people that I was getting my tubes tied and I was choosing to remain child-free, period, the people who got upset the most were usually men. It was usually a reaction of, oh, how could you? What if future ex-man wants kids? Clearly the answer to that is he's not for me. But this look of just, how dare you? And this makes a lot of sense. It's because it's one less way to trap someone. I regret nothing about getting my tubes tied. And every horror dating story that I hear on here further validates my decision.
You know, men be so possessive. You gonna go to ultimate lengths and knock this girl up because you don't want her to leave you. Boy, you's a bitch. Because you know for a fact that you ain't even about to step up and take care of no child. You know for a fact that you just want her to be in your life. You just gonna knock her up just to say she got one of your kids and she gonna have to deal with you for the next 18 years. That is sick, bruh. Why don't you just step up and be a man? Then you won't feel like she got so many options out there and she gonna leave you. So you need to do the one thing that you know gonna keep her around. At that point, when you decide to do that, you don't even care about the dynamic of the relationship that y'all about to be in. You don't even care about that because your only thought in that moment is, I don't want her to leave me. She can't leave me. What, you wasn't loved enough by your moms or something when you was young to feel like that you need this female love to always be around? So in order for you to keep it around, you want to get the girl pregnant? That got to be the most lamest thing you can do. And you can't call yourself no man if you just going out here and deliberately knocking girls up just because you want to keep them around. Stop using the child as a toy or a tool in your mental war game. You don't have children with somebody just because you don't want them to leave you if you ain't willing to step up.
A lot of low down, broke, gigolo men will definitely try to trap women. I know. We always hear about, women trying to get the bag from the guy. No. What's not talked about enough is the fact that a guy that really don't have nothing going on for himself will definitely try to trap you. Or someone that don't want you to leave them alone. They will try to get you pregnant. You got to be smart. Open your eyes and ears. Look at everything. If this is not someone that you don't want to marry one day, or you know what I mean, open your eyes. And I want a lot of my young ladies to start requesting that, we get married before we have kids. Because a lot of the times these guys don't never have no intentions on ever marrying you, but they don't want you to be too detached from them. So they get you pregnant and act real crazy on you. I done seen it happen multiple times, not from personal experience, but happening to other people. Please be safe, because just like women are trying to trap and get the bag from men, men are trying to trap women with their lives. Like someone that don't want to leave you alone but don't want to treat you right, they'll definitely try to trap you.
Guys, think about how crazy this is. When a dude traps you with a baby, he's not only saying you are obligated to this relationship in some way, shape, or form, he's saying you have to be a mother to my child, and you're somehow obligated to be a mother to me as well, because I know I can't take care of myself. Because if I could, I wouldn't need to obligate somebody to be in a relationship with me to reinforce my inability to do that. And before the guys go ahead and drop in the comments acting crazy, acting, women do it too, women do it too. Yeah, women definitely do it too. But patriarchy creates a system where women are forced to marry and connect themselves to a man for their own survival or sustenance of their lives. We are just coming into a period where women are able to build for themselves and create through their own conscious will. Not that it hasn't always been like that, but because society is just starting to recognize that after completely demonizing free women. So, yes, this conversation is more heavily focused on the men. And yes, when you do look at this conversation with some depth, finally, you can see that men also find ways to depend on women, but then flip the script to make them look like some kind of rebellious, confident, like playboy, or some just like an identity that validates you being some traumatizing asshole and stopping you from taking the accountability that you need to take. So maybe if you can't make anybody's life better, you could at least just be a good human being.
And raise your hand if a man has ever tried to trap you with a baby. Oh my God. Unfortunately, you can't even really tell a man you don't want kids nowadays because he takes it as a challenge. A fucking challenge. A lot of them want to get you prego just to be able to say they did. There's some sick people out here. And I realize that not wanting kids means your chances of finding somebody else who don't want kids, especially a cishet man who don't want kids, who also has his head on straight, who isn't a liar, a cheater, a piece of trash, who's emotionally intelligent, the odds of finding that on top of him not wanting kids, I know is very, very slim to none. But shit, I'll take my chances. And if you want kids, that's fine. Just go have them with some other woman, not me.
Thank you so much for making it this far into the video. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And that would be you supporting my channel. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.